Hey friends! Okay, so in this video we are going to talk all things meat chickens. I just did another video and that one is going to be about our personal experience of what we did, why we did it, also how our kids handled it and how their response was to it, and also our just overall like what did we think about the whole process. So if you want to know just that stuff, it's in the first video. This video is going to be kind of the step-by-step of what we did, and I'm going to try to cover a lot of the steps of what we did. So if you're considering meat chickens, this might be a good video for you to check out. So starting from the beginning, we got our chickens, we got chicks, baby chicks, 1 day old. Cornish cross is the bird that we use, and we got those from Mount Healthy Hatchery. It's here local in Cincinnati where we live. There's a lot of online places that you can get them from. The only reason we did not do that is, one, it's local, so we could go pick up the chicks ourselves, and when you ship the birds, we just felt like it was a little bit more stressful on them, so this way they were literally hatched one day, and then the next 24 hours later we picked them up, brought them home, put them in our brooder, and all they had to do was have that short travel distance from there to our house.
Hootie game.
Yeah.
Hootie game.
And my toddler is here with me. So
came.
yeah. And so we built our own brooder. So then we brought them home, put them in the brooder. In the brooder basic setup, again, I could go through videos of each of these things. So just drop your questions for me. Please. We did the brooder ourselves, so we built the outside. It's just a big square box. We did 50 birds, and the box that we did looked huge at the beginning, but as they grew, it actually I feel like was like perfect size. So I can always, but we did 50 birds. We built our own like wood frame. We did cardboard on the bottom, plastic wrap on the bottom, so like tarp paper on the very on our concrete in our garage, and then we did paper cardboard on top, and then we did what is called, I think, the deep bed method for the pine shaving. So that's what we did on the bottom for the chicks, and that's what we used throughout the entire 2 weeks that they were in the brooder. And the only other things that you need to have in the brooder is the heat lamp or heat plate, one or the other, and then you need to have access to water and to food 24/7. The heat is so important. It has to stay, I think, between 95 and 99 for the first 2 weeks, and there's even more specifics of that. Like the first couple of days, it needs to be like 99. So you need to have like a thermometer in there to make sure they're staying warm, and that all the birds that you had can fit under whatever heat lamp or heat plate that you have. So that's what we did. We ended up going with the heat plate, just because I think a lot of the things were scaring us a little bit about a heat lamp, but I think if done in a safe environment, it would be totally fine. But we just went with the heat plate instead. So then that was kind of getting them all set up. There's plenty of water in there. Do you want me to close it up for you?
Yeah.
Here. There's plenty in here. So doing this with toddlers. Then the first thing we experienced started happening within the first week, I would say within 3 to 5 days, was pasty butt. And so pasty butt is basically their droppings are too sticky and they stick to their butt. And this only becomes a problem if it sticks on their little butthole. If it covers it, then they can get the poop out, and then it would become very toxic, and then they could die. And it happens very quickly. So we started seeing it, and so it was just a couple birds. So we had to take them out. How you take care of it is you take it out and you very calmly warm like a rag or a cotton ball, warm water, and like wipe it off their butt. I told Nick, I'm like, well, we're already changing diapers. What's a few more? You can go downstairs with Dad. What's a few more? Wiping a few more butts, right? You know, a few more pasty butts. So, anywho, it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal to do that. But then what we noticed is it kind of happened to a couple more birds, maybe a couple days after that. But once we looked a little bit closer, it wasn't sticking to their actual vent area. It was just a little bit lower than that, which doesn't cover the vent area. And so if it wasn't covering the vent area that second time around, we did not touch it because we did not want to put more stress on the birds, because picking them up and holding them and wiping their butts, like that's stressful for them. And then we didn't want the pasty butt to get worse because they're stressed. So we really only had to clean them like once or twice, and then they were good to go. And they stayed in the brooder for about 2 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks, depending on, your environment outside. Ideally, you don't want it to be too hot or too cold on the very first day, or raining on the first couple days that you have them out there, just so they can acclimate to the outside weather. And then by week 2 and 3, they're already getting some of their feathers in, which is pretty cool to see how quickly they grow and change. Cornish cross, from start to finish, really only live about 8 to 10 weeks total. So that's another reason why we liked the whole process of meat chickens, is it's a fairly quick process. Anyways, for our experience on week 2 to 3, it was getting so dirty in the brooder, like disgusting. They poop so much. Birds, I really started feeling like, oh my gosh, birds are so dirty. Truly, that was probably one of the most challenging parts for me, was just seeing how dirty that they were, and that I couldn't just clean them all the time. But something that we learned along the way, which we would do better next time, is a deep bed method for the pine shaving. So start with like a thick part at the bottom, but as they get, like every couple days, add more pine shavings on top, so it's kind of like a clean surface for them. So that would be something that would keep it a little bit cleaner, versus we tried to like move it around, like kind of like fluff it up per se. That did not work with the birds in there. So putting some more pine shavings on top to keep it kind of clean would have been a great idea. So, and I would definitely, for our small garage and for just like the smell and everything else, I would definitely try to get them out there as close to that 2-week mark as possible. In our chicken tractor, they need to be covered in our specific area. They could not free range. So anyways, we moved them out. We did a chicken tractor, so we could show you. I'm going to do a Instagram reel that will show you some of the videos of the things that we used with our brooder, our chicken tractor, kind of the setup of things like that too, but definitely can share that if you have questions. And when I have them out in the chicken tractor, it's really just moving them daily. That is moving them daily, food and water. So we have a big chicken tractor. I think it was roughly 10 by 10 that all of our birds fit in very spaciously. And then we had like a big door on it, so you can open the door each day so we can get in, we can clean out the water, put new water in, and then you can fill up. We did like feeders on the inside and just filled that with their feed. We did a non-GMO starter grow and feed, and the non-GMO is kind of like the organic version of their feed, and that's what they had from start to finish, the same feed, which made it pretty easy. At the beginning, we were feeding them, filling up both feeders all the way to the top, both like morning and night, 2 times a day, and that was fine till the end. We had like 3 or 4 birds like die within like 2 or 3 days, and we started freaking out because we were like, oh my gosh, why are they dying? Like, we thought that we were doing something wrong, and come to find out we could have been overfeeding them. We're not 100% sure, but it was just kind of happened. 3 or 4 kind of happened all within like 24, 48 hours. So I'm not really sure what that was about, because we only lost 1 before that, which was a little baby bird that we just never really grew. So hard to even count that one. And then 4 or 5 of them that just did, like, they just died all at the same time. And then we didn't lose any after that. So not exactly sure, but some of the bird people that we know said that we could have been overfeeding them. They really, by the size of our birds that they were by 6 weeks, they said that their suspicion was just that we were overfeeding them. So some people do like a 12-hour on and 12-hour off. So they feed them kind of all the food at 12 hours in the morning, and then they just eat it kind of grazily, however much they want throughout the day. They do not feed them again in the evening. So we could maybe try that again next time if we want. We did, after the birds were dying, we kind of started freaking out. So for that last 5 days before we processed them, we did go ahead and we did not feed them in the evening. So we just fed them in the morning, and we didn't lose any more birds after that. So maybe that was part of it. But the chicken tractor, when they're in there, they would not move in the morning. They were not getting, because we have to like pull it. So it's a big square, and you pull the tractor basically like another 10 feet every day to fresh grass. And so when the chickens were in there, they would not like go forward, and we didn't want to run them over. So we ended up using a leaf blower. So I would stand behind them there and kind of blow them forward to kind of like push their little heinies forward. So they would walk forward and walk to the front of the tractor, and then Nick would just pull it. So we just kind of gave them a little nudge with a leaf blower outside the tractor. So that kind of helped us to get them moving forward, but that was, we only did that once. The last couple days we did move it twice a day, just because again they were getting pretty dirty in there, and just wanted to keep having them have clean area to stay in, but that was really only the last few days. We processed them at about 6.5, almost 7 weeks is when we did the process time. Depending on the size of your birds and timing, you can go anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks of process time. And then getting access to cold water for them was probably another challenge that we ran into. They went through a lot in the middle of the summer. We did ours in end of July through August and early September. So it was hot. And so that was really our biggest struggle, was keeping them cool, because if they're too hot, they have no way to cool themselves down. So some people do fans, some do ice. We just had we just refilled their water multiple times a day. So that meant I was carrying 5-gallon buckets, walking them out to our field and dumping it in there multiple times a day. So that just made sure that we had to be home to take care of them and couldn't be gone for long periods of time. So that was just a little bit more hands-on. So having some kind of automatic watering system, I think would have been a better choice, which maybe we'll try next year. But that's just more manual labor. It wasn't anything hard. It was just more manual labor and had to be more attentive. Then we also froze ice in like plastic containers, like our Tupperware containers, froze them in the freezer. And then before I would go feed the birds, I would just dump them out of the containers and put those big blocks of ice into the water. So when the water got down to the birds, it was cool. So that was something else to kind of keep them cool, is to keep cold water. So that's the way that we chose to kind of keep them cool. But there's lots of other cool ideas that you can do too. So we did process time with 6 to 8 weeks. I kind of shared all of that about feeding and what we did there. So I guess then it gets to process day. So what did process day look like for us? So they were in the chicken tractor, and we did invest. There's a couple things I would say that you probably need to have for process day. So you need to definitely have people to help. Nick and I did most of it, and Nick's dad came to help too. So, and then Nick's mom and my mom took the kids. So the kids were not here. I did not want them to be present for process day. That is not appropriate for them to see, but we did tell Reese, again, we explained everything to her and let her know that like it's process day, the chickens are going to go be with Jesus today, and then we're going to fill our freezer. And she was totally on board with that. Like she went out there that morning, was like, bye chickens, see you in heaven. So it was really cute. But and then she got home and wanted to see them. So she totally understood the process, because we were so critical about explaining things to her in the circle of life and where our food comes from the very beginning. Again, I mentioned that in my first video, but you can go check that out too. So for process day, Nick did a ton of research. He wanted to make this go as smoothly as possible for us. And so we invested in, they're called like kill cones, I think. It's basically you put the chickens in the cone so that you can slice their neck. And that's the fastest way for them to die. So it's very, not, what's the word? Humane. I know it doesn't sound like that, but if you think about the way that process commercial settings do them, this is very humane. It's just a one thing and then they're dead. So kill cones, you do 2 at a time. You can do more, but we did 2, and then give them a couple minutes to kind of bleed out. And then investing in some kind of like a turkey fryer. We did a turkey fryer because it's cheaper, but some kind of deep, like a fryer of some kind to kind of scald them. It's a scalder. We did chicken, like I said, a turkey one because it's cheaper. And then a plucker. That's the most expensive thing that we bought. That is, I've heard you can rent them. That would have been a good choice too. But yeah, a plucker was something that we did. And it literally takes all of their feathers off in like 30 seconds. So when it comes out of those 3 steps, it looks like almost like the bird that you get from we like Costco, like the rotisserie chicken. So it's you just cut off the legs or cut off the feet, and then I always had Nick do the head first. I didn't want to see the chicken, but other than that, I was totally fine. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to do its neck and take its life, and I did not want to cut the head off. But after those things were gone, it was really just like dealing with raw meat. It really didn't bother me. But Nick did the first 3 steps I just explained, and then Nick's dad and I basically like prepped the chicken. So we took off the feet, and then we kind of gutted the inside, and then we kept the heart and the liver, and we actually ended up cooking those for our dog, so she'll have those. We could definitely eat those too, like chicken liver, chicken hearts are so good for you, but we ended up doing them with Nala for our dog, which has totally been so good for her. Amazing. And the chicken feet we could have kept also, but we did not keep them this time. They could have been good like chew things for dogs, but we did not do that this time. And then we basically just, like I said, made it look like a rotisserie chicken. So once it looked like a rotisserie chicken, it was all cleaned out. We put it into a big cooler, and we had a really big cooler, and had to be packed with ice. And so they kept really cool for at least 24 hours. And then you take them out, and then we basically decided like, how do we want to cut these up to put into our freezer? And so that's what we did. So day 1 was like process day. Day 2 was like cutting them up into pieces into vacuum seal, and then put them in our freezer to freeze for long-term use. And that was it. So basically a 2-day process. We started with 50 birds when we got them from the hatchery, ended with 44 birds on process day, and they stocked our freezer. And so I would say I think 50 birds is a good amount, by the way. If it's perfectly in a freezer, I think any more than that would probably be too much in a freezer. But we're suspecting that that's gonna last us. We eat a lot of meat in our family. I would say probably we're thinking this will last about 6 months for us. So Nick has a vision of maybe doing it like twice a year. We're not really sure. Or just doing one really big batch. But the only problem with doing one big batch would be that we would need like 2 freezers to freeze them. So we're not really sure what we're gonna do yet. But that was a good first experience. I think we did great. And one resource I would love to mention to you guys too, and I'll actually put it in the comments of this too, is an Instagram page called Farm to Freezer. They were amazing. Like they teach courses on this and teaching people how to be backyard meat chicken people. They do it with their kids, and it's so great. Like everything that they do, I would highly recommend. And when we were looking at how to like gut the chicken properly and to do it as easily and efficiently as possible, we learned it all from them. So definitely would recommend their Instagram page for sure. Because this isn't going to give you all the details, they definitely would have everything for you. But yeah, so like I said, I think we had a great experience. We had the normal amount of death rate and success rate. It was start to finish, everything kind of went perfectly. And we were very grateful to our family who helped with the kids, and Nick's dad who helped us, and Nick's mom who helped us with process day, because we needed more hands to kind of get it all done, and definitely not to have the kids at our feet doing that. On day 2, though, I will say, we were just out in the yard, and we have a pretty big yard. The kids were just playing out in the yard, and they were being great. So when we were kind of like spatchcocking the chickens or, vacuum sealing it, the kids were here. So they were definitely fine to be here on day 2 when we were just kind of putting everything in packaging and cutting it up. It was just raw meat at that point. So the kids were fine to be here. But day 1, they were out of the park all day long. So yeah, that was our experience. And if you guys have any more questions, please drop them below, and I'd be happy to share the details or answer any additional questions. I can do like an FAQ in the next video too. So hope that helps.